Casino.
Welcome back to Warriors Pregame Live, presented by Comcast Business, as we check out tonight's injury report. Steph Curry out due to rest. Gary Payton II probable, most likely to play, but Andrew Wiggins and Jonathan Kuminga. Of course, Wiggins missed Friday night's action against the Dallas Mavericks. JK's missed the last 6 games. They are both game-time decisions tonight against the Utah Jazz. So the Warriors are already shorthanded. Without Stephen Curry, Chris Paul will step on up. Brandon Pajitsky will step on up. But we still await the details from JK and Andrew Wiggins. And against a team like Utah, this feels like a game where both those guys, Wiggins and JK, can find their rhythm against a team like Utah heading into that Tuesday showdown against the Lakers.
No question. This Utah Jazz team has struggled the last 25 games, but they've got talent. They've got NBA players. They're going to come out, and if they get it going, it could be a tough game. So it's important they come out early and put their beating on them in the first quarter. But the more people out, it gives the Utah Jazz more hope, and that's what you don't want.
Yeah, Colin Sexton and Keontae George, who we'll touch on a little bit later in the program. You need those wing defenders against them. They could blow by anybody in this league here. But Stephen Curry, as you see, was on that injury report due to rest. He's going to sit out. He's played 71 games this season, but post-All-Star game, he has struggled with this shot. And when I say struggled, he's still shooting 36% from the three-point line. A lot of players in this league would take that, 41.3% from the floor, but down to 22.7 points per game, 5 assists to 4 rebounds. And you've been mentioning this over the last couple of weeks here, Mullin, as the Warriors have 1-5 without Steph this season. He looks like he needs a rest, a day off, a game off for the Golden State Warriors as they get ready for this play-in tournament.
Well, 2 things, Bonte. Steph has already played 71 games, and I think the first 50, he really shouldered a big burden, both offensively, playmaking, and defensively. And I thought he exerted a lot of energy. And at this point in time, yeah, you want to try and move up a spot or 2 if you can. But to me, the most important thing is that Steph Curry is rested, fresh, and ready to go when the play-in starts into the playoffs. If that's the case, then they feel like they can match up with anybody in a 7-game series. And that goes for Chris Paul, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green as well.
Yeah, Stephen Curry's played the most regular season games, 71 at all this season. That's the most he's played in the regular season since 2016-17. And before the game, Steve Kerr touched on Steph Curry's durability this season.
What Steph does is superhuman. I mean, I think it's his most underrated quality is his endurance and his strength and his ability to fly around like he does, absorb all the defensive pressure that teams are putting on him. Everyone puts him in pick and roll to try to wear him down so he doesn't kill them offensively. And he just keeps himself in immaculate condition. And he's just been amazing in that regard over the years. But you know, usually what happens during the year, the last 4 or 5 years, it's felt like maybe twice during the year he's gotten an injury that kept him out for a couple of weeks. And that sort of allowed him to recharge. Then he'd come back and, you know, go crazy. And this year, it's a good thing. He hasn't been injured other than 2 very, I think, minor ones. But the end result is that he's got just a ton of wear and tear on him this year. So this is definitely going to be a stretch that'll help him, and he needed it.
All right, you see the Warriors without Stephen Curry, obviously, when you don't have a Hall of Fame player, one of the top 10 that ever graced the floor in the NBA, your points per game is going to go down, your field goal percentage is going to go down, and your three-point percentage will go down. Of course, they're 41-30 with them, 1-5 without them. Hopefully, they improve to 2-5 this season here. But let's connect, courtesy of Comcast Business. Every connection counts as we go inside the Chase Center for the first time all evening with the great KB, Kareth Burke, NBA champion, Festus Ezeli, and Monty. I'll go ahead and take it from Fezzi Fell. He's back, though. But Monty Poole, our Warriors Insider. There you go. KB, we have good news and bad news. The bad news first. Andrew Wiggins is out tonight. He'll miss his 2nd straight game. But the good news is Jonathan Kuminga is back in the lineup. Go ahead, take it away.
Excellent to hear that, because when Steve Kerr said that JK and Andrew Wiggins could be game-time decisions, was that when there was a chance that JK could have missed his 7th straight game. And we had to follow up on that, because I asked Steve Kerr, what do you think about the time JK has needed to feel good in his body? And he said, for young players, they have to learn the difference between what is pain and what is injury. And he said it can be nerve-wracking, right? When you're hurt, when you're feeling pain, you don't want to re-injure yourself. So, Monty, as you kind of think about what JK has been through this season with an increase in minutes and how his importance to this team, what do you think about JK figuring out his body for the stretch run?
Yeah, it's an ongoing process. It really is. And right now, he hasn't had anything like this, quite like this. So when you miss a game or two, it's one thing, but now you've missed 4, 5, 6. Then you're thinking, okay, is this going to be worse? Is it going to be a nagging thing? You hope it's not. And the fact that he's going to be able to play tonight says that, okay, he's good now. He looked good in his pregame warm-up. So I think anytime you're a young player, even as an older player, you learn a little bit better your body. But as a younger player, you always have to be aware of every little thing, and you learn as you go.
Well, the toughest thing, KB, for any player in the NBA is to be labeled injury prone. And that can affect your money, that can affect the way coaches look at you and play you and accept you. But the way you get to that point is playing through pain and playing through chronic pain, so much that it inhibits you to being on the court. I think with young guys, and to be honest, there's nobody in the NBA that plays injury-free or plays pain-free. Sorry, I guess you got to make a distinction between pain and injury. And pain is something that's just part of this game. We're running on hardwood, you're banging into bodies, you're running all night long. These are all things that come with pain. But as a young player in the NBA, you have to learn how to manage that pain, and you have to work with people that you trust. This is why they have trainers like Rick Scalabrini here with the Warriors. They help you understand your body and the ways to manage your pain and strengthen your body in a way that you can handle that rest through the season.
What is it like managing tendonitis?
Tendonitis is an overuse injury, and it's something for a guy who's explosive as JK, it's a tough thing. He's always going to put so much pressure on his knees. The biggest thing you have to do, especially in the summer, is you have to work on strength training. Make sure your body is ready to handle the load of an 82-game season. And with increased time on the court, it's more prone to have tendonitis.
Yeah, they used to call it sort of a derivative of jumper's knees, and so it's one of those things. Tendonitis comes and goes. It can be chronic, but it doesn't linger a long time, and it is usually treatable at some point.
Well, we saw Dr. Rick Scalabrini come out here during warm-ups. He was watching JK. He was watching Andrew Wiggins. So thank you for that good news, bad news. We hope the bad news gets better soon for Andrew.
No doubt about that, KB, as JK has missed 6 straight games. He's back in the lineup tonight, and we'll show the graphic right now of what he's done as a starter this season. He's been dynamic. What a third-year leap for Jonathan Kuminga. Again, he's missed the last 6 games with knee tendonitis, but the numbers, 18.5 points per game. The field goal percentage, over 50, 52.5%. We see the rebounds. He started crashing the glass. He's got the midi. The Warriors are 5 games over 500, but he's found his role. And whether he starts tonight or comes off the bench, the Warriors need Jonathan Kuminga and his athleticism. They missed on Friday night. Another guy who could have maybe guarded Kyrie Irving, P.J. Washington. But as we break him down, Mully, what has he done so well since he's been a starter for the Golden State Warriors?
Yeah, look at those numbers, Bonte. That's the definition of a third-year breakout season of a player that made steady progress, both offensively and defensively. Offensively, great shot selection, great awareness with and without the basketball, understanding this team needs him to attack the paint, whether it be from the top of the floor, in the post. He's got this beautiful mid-range game that he's pulling up, knocking down consistently. We've seen him, obviously, in the break, get some nasty dunks. And I just think he's really got great understanding. Now, look at this nasty athleticism here, Bonte.
That's nasty.
Not many guys in the league got that in their bag.
Watch your head.
But really has great understanding what Steve Kerr wants and needs from him to impact winning, and that's hanging around the paint, finishing with dynamic dunks, pull-ups, fast break points, whether it be after baskets or after misses. And then I love the fact you can throw him in the post. You talked about matching up defensively with some of the stars on the perimeter. Athletically, physically can do that. We've seen him guard Luka, stay down on him. And then offensively, for a change of pace, just throw the ball down the post, whether it be split action or let him go one-on-one once in a while. He's been good at getting to the free throw line, which not a lot of players on the Warriors can do. So a dynamic breakout season for Jonathan in all areas. I think he's really grasped what Steve Kerr wants and needs from him.
Yeah, no doubt. Mentally, physically, JK has been balling in his third year with the Golden State Warriors, and he'll be able to ramp it up over the Knicks and in Boston. And then later on tonight, the T-Wolves taking on the LA Lakers. However, LeBron James is out due to flu-like symptoms. He did play yesterday afternoon against the Cleveland Cavaliers, had a monster game. But let's check out the wild Western Conference standings. Top 3 teams already clinched a berth in the playoff spot. In the playoffs, I should say. But Minnesota trying to get that #1 seed, just a half game behind the Denver Nuggets. OKC, a game and a half behind them. Clippers with a big win against Cleveland today. Had to rally all the way back. They were down 22 at the half. They come back and win that one. Again, we just mentioned Phoenix and New Orleans in a tight one down there in the Valley of the Sun. But the Warriors, they have officially clinched the 10th spot in the Western Conference. So they will be in the play-in. Now, will they be 9? Will they be 8, Bully? Stephen Curry will rest tonight. You have 2 games against Utah, a game against Portland, but I wonder how imperative it is for the Golden State Warriors to try to climb up to 7-8, or do you just factor in and say, you know what, let's rest these guys a little bit here, because it does seem like a challenge to rise up to 7 and 8.
I think you're trying to do a lot of things at once, Bonta. You're trying to establish a great brand of basketball, Warrior basketball, whether it be both offensively and defensively. You're trying to get guys fresh. And then in the meantime, if you can move up, obviously I think where they are now at 10, they'd rather be at 9 to have that as a home game, whether it be Sacramento or whoever else is in that mix. So I think Steve Kerr's trying to juggle a lot of things at once. But I do still think the most important thing, we know they're in the play and they've clinched that. Now it's establishing your rhythm and rotation, both offensively and defensively.
All right, let's check out the remaining schedule for the Golden State Warriors. 5 games in 7 days, including 2 against the Utah Jazz. Tuesday night, they're going out to L.A. to take on the Lakers here as we roll up the schedule. Portland Thursday, Pels Friday, so here it is. Utah twice, as I just mentioned. The Lakers, wonder how they'll play that game. The Lakers and the Golden State Warriors. You take on the Portland Trailblazers team. I don't think they're trying to win too many games, Willie.
Earlier we talked about good news, bad news. We got good news that Jonathan Kuminga will play. Bad news, Andrew Wiggins will not play. And then we have more good news. You're playing Utah Jazz twice and the Portland Trailblazers. So good news, bad news, good news.
And we'll see where the Pelicans are at Friday when they come out to the Bay Area as we go back inside the Chase Center to KB and Fezzi Fell here. And the mindset, KB, what is the Warriors' mindset heading into these final 5 games? Again, we just mentioned 2 games against Utah, a game against Portland. Is it important to them to try to move up in the standings, or will they take a cautious approach as we head to the play-in?
That's the mindset. We talked to Brandon Pajemski before this game. He laid it out for us. He's like, we want to go 5-0. So this is something the team has talked about, seeing if they can have a win streak heading into the postseason. Why must that be the mindset? Why do you have to have that belief before you hit the postseason?
Well, think about the season this way, KB. When you go through the season, it's like taking little quizzes before you take the real exam in the playoffs.
Okay.
And throughout the season, if I had to take some marks off this season, it would be on transition defense, it would be on turnovers, it would be on really taking care of the ball since you turnovers, and fouling guys on the shot. These are all the things that the Warriors need to get better at if they want to be as solid as they want to be going into the playoffs. And right now, Mullin said it exactly right, and that's why I was laughing. He says, good news tonight, you're going against the Utah Jazz. Bad news, you're going against the Lakers. But these are all tests. You're going against a bigger Laker team next game. These are all great ways for the Warriors to practice all the different matchups and lineups that they're going to be able to play in the playoffs when they get there.
How much film study happens right now for fine-tuning?
Well, film study happens all season long, but right now it's even more important because there is no practice happening at this point of the season. You learn a lot by seeing the things you're supposed to do, but hopefully the continuity and what they've had so far with guys being healthy, I mean, a couple guys been out, but with guys being healthy for the most part, you have enough guys that understand each other on the court to where they can make adjustments without being on the floor practicing.
And it feels like the Warriors have just solidified their starting lineup as well. We know Steph is out with a rest night, but getting these things fine-tuned, getting those habits in place, how far can that carry the Dubs in the postseason?
Honestly, the Warriors, their future is in their own hands.
Yeah.
Their destiny is in their hands, and that's a good place to be because there's a lot of teams that can't win in the NBA, but if you have the talent to win, this is the highest paid team in the NBA, in the history of the NBA.
Yes.
So the results has not matched that money yet, but I think they still have the ability to right the ship. And as you saw with the Boston Celtics just a few years ago, they were 31 halfway through the season, went all the way to the NBA Finals. They called that season a success.
Guys, 10 seed, I don't know if you can be satisfied with the 10 seed when you have a chance to move up, because as you said, hopefully the fate is in the Warriors' hands.
Bring through there here as the Warriors are in 10th place, but the good news is they have clinched as we look at the Hall of Fame inductees. Leading the way, presented by UCSF, and we'll roll that right now. This is always a fun time of the year, Mullin, when we see the new inductees for the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame. Fitz Carter, Chauncey Billups, Simone Augustus, who played a long time for the Minnesota Lynx, Michael Cooper, who we'll touch on in just a second, the great Walter Davis, Dick Barnett, Well, look at Jerry West, who's been inducted into the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame for a record 3rd time with his latest election coming in as a contributor to the game. Of course, he was a GM with the LA Lakers and Memphis Grizzlies, as well as a consultant with the Warriors and the Clippers. He became a member with the 1960 U.S. Olympic team, and of course, as a basketball player in 1979. So the logo going in for a record 3rd time, Willie.
Yeah, so many well-deserved accolades there for those Hall of Famers. Vince Carter, Chauncey Billups, Jerry West, the logo, the legend, has impacted the game in so many ways for so many years and decades, always with class and dignity. You know, it's amazing. Jerry's been with so many teams, much like Pat Riley, right? But I still look at them as Lakers, the Showtime Lakers that they built together. I mentioned Vince Carter, Chauncey Billups, and those other two, Bonte, I know we're going to talk about Michael Cooper. Walter Davis.
Yep.
What a spectacular guard he was. And sometimes what happens during this process, you know, a lot of those older players like myself, they're not out there as much on social media. So you kind of tend to forget, and I'm guilty of that. Many times you've asked me who are some of the best defenders I had to play against. And I always right away go to Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan. So I played against them the most. Michael Cooper was one of the most dynamic defensive players of all time. And he played on one of the greatest dynastic teams of all time, the Showtime Lakers. You know, Michael Cooper and Byron Scott never made an all-star team because Magic, Kareem, and James Worthy were automatics every year. So I'm really happy for Michael Cooper. It's well-deserved, and he was just a fantastic defensive player. I think he was 8 times
All-defensive team.
defense.
At DPOY in 86, 87.
Just an aggressive, big-time. And he really back then was very instrumental in winning championships. Look at these numbers, Bonte.
Yep, 5 NBA championships, of course, 80, 82, 85, 87, 88, when the Lakers went back-to-back in 87, 88. You see the DPOY awards for Draymond Green and Michael Cooper. All defensive teams. First team, Michael Cooper made it 5 times. Draymond Green made it 4 times. He's a candidate to make it this season. All defensive second team, all-star appearances, which is the difference between the two. Cooper with 1 more ring, but Draymond with 4 more all-star appearances. And you mentioned it because of Worthy, Kareem, Magic. He had to get all those Western Conference stars in there, but it does lead a pathway for Draymond. We already know he's going to be a Hall of Famer. It's just a matter of when, not if. But now you get Michael Cooper, now you get Draymond Green, and maybe, just maybe you get Andre Iguodala as well.
Yeah, and I think, you know, look, every player that goes through that Hall of Fame process, you judged on your individual performance and your accolades and your resume. But there are some players that come before you that, like you said, Bonte, paved the way. You look at those numbers, there's no denying that.
Right.
So Draymond, Michael Cooper, different generations, very similar results.
Yeah, defensive guys.
And you brought up
guys.
Iggy.
Yep.
Iggy is another one, you know, and obviously a finals MVP, and tremendous scorer early in his career, then came to the Warriors to win championships and gave of himself a lot. So I think he's going to be in there as well, and there'll be comps for him as well.
Yeah, and also his college career at the University of Arizona had a great career. That was on the Old Man in 3 podcast with J.J. Redick, and, you know, Bob Myers said, I miss him. We all miss him. Well, I tell you who doesn't miss him. The Utah Jazz tonight. They won't miss him, Bully.
No, I mean, all those things that Bob said about Steph, and we're fortunate enough to see him all season long, and he's the most genuine, humble superstar. To me, I have to go back to Tim Duncan. Wow. Very, very similar personality, very similar impact on his organization. And he sets the bar so high.
He has a lot of fun there. And, of course, I know a lot of NBA players wish they could play with Steph Curry, including J.J. Redick. All right, let's look at the team that the Warriors are opposing today, the Utah Jazz. And, boy, this is not pretty. Worst record since February 1st. The Jazz are 5-23, slightly worse than the Washington Wizards. The Blazers, who we'll see later in the week. The Pistons, who are rebuilding. And, of course, the Toronto Raptors. And Utah, man, they started off the season well, 26-26. They were rolling, then some injuries, and then they just pulled the plug here. They do have some young pieces. Keontae George, that's Kitty Lofton right there. But Utah's in that rebuilding mode. So what's the challenge for Danny Ainge moving forward in Salt Lake City, where it's been a place where it's tough to attract free agents to come to that town to play basketball?
I think this point in time, Danny Ainge and his staff is trying to figure out who to put around Markkanen. You know, I think they like Sexton, Keontae George. Now it's about what plays do you retain. And what do you look for, like you said, Bonte, whether it be trades? I got a bunch of draft picks coming up. And then can you get into the free agent market? They've got some young players they can build around. Walker Kessler, some good players. But obviously, the IST play-in fever did not hit Utah. So they're in the rebuilding mode, like you said. We don't want to use the word tank. We'll call it rebuilding.
Okay.
But that's the good news for the Warriors. They got them 2 more times. Make sure you capitalize on that and keep it moving.
Absolutely. Let's check out the Utah Jazz starting 5 for tonight against the Golden State Warriors. Morgan Markkanen out, Jordan Clarkson out. As you look at that beautiful scenic of downtown San Francisco, Keontae George, we'll touch on him in just a second. That's a very explosive rookie, College Sexton, who we've seen. He's put up some monster numbers against the Dubs this season, Mullin. You see Taylor Hendricks and Yurtseven, who used to be with the Miami Heat, but College Sexton is a problem, Mullin.
Yeah, no question. He's, I think, averaged over 25 points per game against the Warriors. His most against any NBA team. And Bonte, the other thing, too, all these players, they're trying out and trying to make an impression on Danny Ainge and the rest of the league.
All right, let's go inside the Chase Center as Kate.
For your precious love, the stars spell out love longing for our union then. Love my fragrance so captivating. You're close to me, I lose myself. Never thought I would find love like this. Never thought I would be waiting. Move your body, let your spirit soar. Ella, your atom, move your body. Oh, I love mine, oh, I love mine. Oh, I love mine, why did you have to? You were